And action.
In this video, we're going to review the structure of the nephron. The nephron is the functional unit of the kidney. Most of the nephrons, 90-ish%, are located in the cortex of the kidney. And these are the structures that interact with the blood to produce the filtrate and then process that filtrate through the physiological processes of reabsorption and secretion. So let's look at our anatomy here. We'll start with one of the arteries that we looked at in a previous video. This is the arcuate artery. This would be the cortical radiate artery. So remember, medulla is at the bottom of the board from our perspective. Cortex would be here. Okay? So arcuate artery to cortical radiate artery. Here's the afferent arteriole leading to the glomerulus. Okay, and I've drawn the efferent arteriole here as well. I haven't gone past that deliberately so we can just focus on the different parts of the nephron. Okay, so as we're looking at this, you'll notice that in purple here there's something that is kind of following the contours of the glomerulus, and then there's another section in green that is on the opposite side of a space from that purple. Now the purple and the green together make up what's referred to as the glomerular capsule, or the throwback term for that you may have heard is Bowman's capsule. Okay, now because there's two layers, they use the same terminology as you have for serous membranes to indicate which layer is which. So the purple layer, which is right on the glomerulus, is going to be the visceral layer of the glomerular capsule. And the green is going to be the parietal. Now the visceral layer functions with the endothelium of the glomerular capillaries to produce the filtrate. So what you see here is the red, the white, and the purple is the actual filtration membrane. Okay, and that's composed of the endothelium of the glomerular capillaries, the fused basement membrane represented by the white, and the visceral layer of the glomerular capsule. Now this visceral layer is composed of a modified simple squamous epithelium that's composed of special cells called podocytes. Okay, and these have little slits that come together or that form by interdigitations of processes on these cells, and those slits give spaces for the filtrate to move through. So we'll indicate on our diagram here that there is something moving through, and what prevents that filtrate from just kind of flowing off into other places is the parietal layer of the glomerular capsule. So this lime green area or line here is kind of it's a layer of simple squamous epithelium that's just forming a wall that catches all of the filtrate and holds it in one spot. Okay, once we've produced our filtrate, it's time to start processing it. The filtrate is going to move into the first section of the glomerular, or of the nephron, excuse me, and that is the proximal convoluted tubule, or PCT. Okay, and we'll talk in another video about specifically what kinds of processing is going to happen there. Okay, from there, filtrate would move into the descending nephron loop, and then it would pass through the ascending nephron loop. And the throwback term for this U-shaped region is the loop of Henle, so you may have heard it described as that. Okay? Then filtrate will move through the distal convoluted tubule, or DCT. And then the last stop for processing, if necessary, is the collecting duct. And then from the collecting duct, the material would now be urine, and that would be moving towards the tube-like structures of the kidney that would be collecting the urine. Okay? All right, now we need to go through and kind of look at the different functions of the regions of the nephron and when they're going to be active. And one of the things that we're going to see is there's going to be a difference in the type of tissue that we have in different regions of the renal tubule. And that's kind of the name from the PCT to the collecting duct we can refer to as the renal tubule. And the PCT, DCT, and collecting duct all have simple cuboidal epithelium, but the PCT is the only one that has microvilli, and that's an indication that there's a lot more reabsorption and secretion happening in that region than in either of the other two. Okay, the descending nephron loop and the ascending nephron loop have a combination in different sections of simple cuboidal epithelium and simple squamous epithelium. So you can see that there are thick sections and thin sections that are described in the anatomy. We're going to look at this as far as a functional kind of anatomy perspective, and that's why we're referring to them as the descending and ascending limbs of the nephron loop. Okay, and that concludes our anatomy.